just watched a startup almost fail, and it wasn't because they didn't have a good product. Actually, in fact, they had a great product. But it was because of some mistakes that are still crucial that people might not think of in the beginning. So in today's video, I will show you what are the 5 biggest mistakes that I'm observing over and over again. My name is, by the way, Dr. Stephanie Ginster. I have a PhD in molecular medicine and I am a strategy and marketing consultant for healthcare startups. And particularly if you are still at an early stage, it is worth to watch until the end of the video. And also, if you like this kind of video, then please like it and subscribe, because there are a lot more videos just like this one to come. And the first incredibly common mistake is to choose the wrong business partner. And this is very tricky because in the beginning you're probably both fueled by this inspiration that you're feeling. You're having this vision, and sometimes it is easy to miss that you're not compatible. And then every decision becomes a struggle. It takes forever to decide on minor things. You might be pushing off very important things until it is too late. We will also come to this later in the video. And it is draining so much energy, and it is also draining so much time. And I have a strange tip that is surprisingly effective, but like I said, it sounds a little bit strange. So you go on a 2-week vacation with your future co-founder, and it should not be any vacation. So it should not be this nice spa thing where you continue to be inspired, where you continue to just work on your business idea, but you're doing it next to the pool instead of doing it in an office or something like that. It should be a challenging vacation, like going on a challenging hike or going on a sailing trip, like the kind of vacation where you need to make decisions. And then it will become extremely clear whether there is someone who's always taking the lead, whether the other person is not accepting other people's opinions. Because at the end of the day, co-founding a business is just like a marriage. So make sure that you are choosing the right person and make sure that you are facing those challenges as early as possible. The next mistake is not having a go-to-market strategy. And this is something that I also see a lot when people have a product that was derived from science. You have probably done a PhD or something and thought, oh, this would be so cool if we could bring this to the market. But you have not really thought, who is your customer and how to reach them. We will also discuss this again in the next point, how to get into the nitty-gritty. This is, by the way, like not having a proper strategy is often caused by not having the right business partner. Because if you don't have the right business partner or the right co-founder, then very likely you cannot agree on the essentials. And then the most important decisions will be pushed off and you will work on tactics. So having a strategy rather than just tactics is extremely essential also to understand what to focus on, because likely you are having an abundance of ideas. This is probably the one thing that you are not lacking is ideas, but you are probably lacking time and you are lacking money. So having a strategy helps you to sort through all of those ideas and prioritize. The third mistake is not understanding the complexity of stakeholders, because particularly if you are making a product that is going to benefit patients and is going to somehow fight diseases, it is very tempting to think that your patient or the patient is going to be your main customer. But it is not. There are patients, there are physicians, there are insurers, there is an abundance likely of stakeholders. And you will need a different messaging for all of them. And there's a very hard truth that I also find hard to accept, but particularly if your product got reimbursement. And the buying decision lies with, on the one hand, the health insurances and on the other hand, the physicians. Then your patient is, or the patient is almost out of the picture when it comes to marketing, etc. And I am such a big fan of patient advocacy. I really want to inform patients so that they have an overview and have a true choice of what they want to do. And I already mentioned hospitals and health insurances. I will give you an example of why you need different core messages for each customer segment. Because in Germany, for instance, the way that hospitals earn money is usually by prescribing treatment, while insurers usually save money by decreasing treatments. So if you make money your core message for both of them, for one of them your product is not going to be attractive because they will be losing money one way or the other. And this is why it is so important to think of who you want to target first and then adjust your core messages accordingly. And if you're not entirely sure what are the pain points of your customers, then actually I have a great tool, which is my knowledge gap matrix. I've used this a lot already, and it is a matrix that can show you for each customer segment what are their pain points, what are their willingness to pay, and you can really get an overview about how much do you know about the different segments yet and where you need to do some more research. And it's going to be so helpful for creating a strategy. And you can find a link to that in the description below. Fourth mistake is to skip planning for regulatory, well, I was going to say regulations, but it sounds strange. So like for any regulatory topics, like for instance, certifications that you might need in order to be able to, or to be allowed to launch a product. And this is something I even talked to a startup once where I asked them, you realize that you are creating a medical device? And they were like, oh, that would be so cool. Not realizing how much regulatory effort goes into being allowed to launch a medical device, because you need a CE certification. You need proof through studies that your product is safe for patients and that it is beneficial for patients. So I always recommend to talk to legal as early as possible, because if you can avoid to get into the category of medical devices, then I can only recommend that you avoid it in the beginning and launch a product that is slightly smaller, but that you can launch immediately without having to go through the entire certification process. And then having, like, this is your beta product that you are going to market with. And once again, going to market strategy, this is also something that you need to keep in mind. And then while or after you've launched the product, you can in the meantime go through all of the regulatory steps to launch like your full product that contains CE certification, that contains a study, etc. But you are already able to earn money with the smaller beta product. So make sure that you talk to lawyers earlier, because if you've accidentally created a medical product, then you have to go back to the drawing board, and this is going to be a lot more expensive than getting things straight once in the beginning. And the last mistake is to do everything alone. This is something I already mentioned, that it makes sense to consult a lawyer early. I do strongly believe that it also makes sense to get some strategy consulting early, because on the one hand, you might not know the market, or maybe you know the market, but it is very often easier to avoid mistakes and to have a clear roadmap rather than to learn by trial and error. Because once again, time and money is your most valuable resource, and if you're spending it on making mistakes rather than setting up a clear strategy in a workshop once, this is something that is only going to cost you in the future, and having a proper workshop is going to save you so much money. Also, it makes sense to get someone from market access in as early as possible, particularly when it comes to reimbursement. And reimbursement is going to be so beneficial for your product. I can only recommend that you have this on your radar. Also on your, not necessarily going to market strategy, but on your long-term strategy. So in a nutshell, working with experts is going to cost you in the short term, and you're going to be so much faster in the long term, and you are going to be saving so much money by not having to make mistakes. If this video was helpful to you, if anything was new to you, please also write me in the comments. By the way, those comments are always very helpful for the algorithm. So if you want to support me a little, like I said, like, subscribe, and maybe leave a small comment. This would be so helpful, and thanks a lot. And yeah, like I said, there is the free knowledge gap matrix that you can download in the description below. And yeah, hope to see you in the next video. In the meantime, if you want to watch another video, then make sure that you are not missing on my video on how to create brand awareness, because marketing your product is so important. If nobody knows about your product, then it's like you're not having a product. So be sure to also watch this video right here. And I hope to see you in the next video. Oh, by the way, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn, very importantly. There I also create some other content other than this. And with this, have a great day. Bye.